Good morning, my lovely year 3. So today we're going to learn about how heat moves through different materials, and this is called conduction. But what is conduction? Conduction happens when something hot touches something else and the heat travels through it. Like when a spoon sits in a hot soup. Have you ever picked it up and said, ouch? That's heat conduction. Yes, this is hard to understand, right? No worries, we're gonna learn about it through a fun and simple experiment together. Let's get started. Introduction. The transfer of heat energy through conduction is an essential scientific concept for us to learn about because we have to know how heat energy moves through conduction and which materials can conduct heat. However, many materials conduct heat effectively, but there are some materials do not carry heat effectively. Many students often struggle to identify or describe materials characteristics with our real-life examples, stated by author Scam in the Teaching's Primary Science Constructively book in 2021. So in order to understand how heat energy moves and which materials conduct heat and which one does not, we have to do an experiment together. So what experiment are we going to do? This experiment called melting butter. We will investigate how heat passes through numerous materials such as metal, plastic, and wood spoons by putting a small piece of butter at the end of the handle and immersing the bowl end in hot water. The melting time of butter reflects how well the material conducts heat. Next, we're going to talk about the hypothesis. The hypothesis is the prediction of the experiment. If heat energy can be transferred to conduction, so which material lets heat travel the fastest? A metal spoon, a wooden spoon, or a plastic spoon? I guess that would be the metal spoon, because metal is the better heat conductivity out of 3 materials, and also metal gets hot quickly. Therefore, the butter on the metal spoon will melt first in this experiment. Here are some materials that we're going to use in our experiment. First, we have 3 spoons made up metal, wood, and plastic, 3 small pieces of butter, 3 glasses, and 1 kettle for hot water. Also, we need 1 digital watch, 1 digital thermometer, 3 paper towels, 1 camera, and 1 note app or spreadsheet. I will explain later why we had to use these materials. Now it's time for explanation why we had to use these materials. First, we use the kettle to boil water. After the water reaches boiling level, carefully pour equal amounts of hot water, about 250 ml, into each glass. Now we use the digital thermometer to check the temperature of the hot water to ensure the temperature of each glass is approximately equal or the same temperature, maybe about 85 degrees Celsius. We put a small piece of butter on the top of each handle at the same distance from the water and the glass. Next, we have to place each spoon into each glass with the bowl end submerged in the hot water and the handle extending out over the edge. Start the stopwatch to record the melting time and the finished melting time as soon as the butter is placed. To take some pictures and record the experiment, we must set up the camera. On our right, there are 3 pictures showing the melting times process of the butter. Once we got all the results and the time, we can record the data into our notes and spreadsheet. I don't want this to be happen, but if we accidentally spill out our hot water, we must use the paper towels to clean up the water spill for safety reasons. We can always repeat all the steps for 3 more times to ensure the reliability of the experiment. Here is the result. This is the result table showing melting times of butter on different material spoons. We can see the spoon materials, time to start melting, time to fully melt it, and the observations. We will discuss this further in the discussion. So this one is also the results. This is the result column chart, and also showing times to start melting and times to fully melt of the butter on each spoon. You can see the column chart here. On our last slides, that is the table, and this is the column chart. You can look at both of the results and see, you can understand what is the result of the experiment. This is the result picture showing the butter on the metal spoon fully melted and dropped into the glass. Now it's time for discussion. What did we find out after doing this experiment? Metal melts butter quickest, fully melted in 25 minutes. Wood slightly melts butter on the edges, edge softened after 25 minutes. Plastic did not melt butter. Metal is heat conductor. Wood and plastic are heat insulators. 2 researchers, Huber and Joplin, in 2021, say that a conductor effectively transports heat energy can be called thermal energy, whereas an insulator does not do so. So after doing this experiment, it allows us to understand the real-world application of heat conductivity. For example, cooking utensils. Metal transfer heat, so they use for cooking surface heat conduction. Wood, plastic don't transfer heat. They are used for handles, prevent burns. This experiment is consistent with constructive teaching methods, which emphasizes applying real-life situations to develop understanding of heat transfer concepts, said by Scam in 2021. Here are some limitations and improvements. Limitation: the size and form of the butter pieces are different. Different spoon shapes and size. Improvements: use the digital scale to weigh all butter pieces. Mark each spoon at an established location for butter placing. We use a lot of technology device in our experiment, because using technology device while doing experiments is extremely significant and beneficial. It saves times, more accuracy, and more fun. The scientist Uchi in 2001 explored the fact that the technology increased students' interest and desire to learn. We use phone for digital stopwatch, time the melting of butter, and we also use it as a camera to capture image and record the entire process. We also use the digital thermometer for measuring the temperature to accurately determine the temperatures of the hot water. Spreadsheet is used for recording results. It's easy to use and it's allowed us to create tables and charts for data analysis and discussion and compare the experiment. Now it's time for us to play Kahoot to revise on your knowledge after learning about heat energy can be transferred through conduction experiment. So the first question is, how is heat transferred in this experiment? Through light, through sound, from hot water to the spoon handle, from the glass to the butter. For this question, the answer is from hot water to the spoon handle. Next question is, what is conduction? Is it heat moving through air, heat moving through solid objects, heat moving through electricity, or light moving through glass? And the answer is blue, heat moving through solid objects. So this is the true or false question. What does a conductor do? Moving heat from one place to another. Yes, this is true. Remember, the heat energy from the hot water is moving to the handle of the spoon and melt the butter down. This is the hard question. Why didn't the butter melt on the plastic spoon? Is it the water was too cold, or the butter was too big, or the handle of the spoon was too long? Or maybe plastic is a poor conductor? The answer is plastics is a poor conductor because plastics is an insulator and an insulator prevents heat moving from place to the other. Congrats to anyone who had 4 rights for the Kahoot games. Yay! Therefore, through this experiment, we can truly understand the amount of heat can be transferred differently based on different material we use. Heat energy can be transferred through conduction. While everyday objects are composed of certain materials, and also we can apply the knowledge into our real life. This is the promoted hand-on experiment, student center. Encourage our critical thinking and decision making. Stated by Devereux, 2007, a scientist. And this is the references for sources that I used throughout these slides. Thank you so much, my lovely Year 3. Hope you learn and remember about the heat energy can be transferred through conduction and which materials conduct heat effectively, which doesn't. Have a wonderful day. Bye!